I'm ready. I was born ready. Are you ready?
Welcome back to A Deal's a Deal. We are Ben and Lucy, and we are talking about marriage and family life on this channel. Please subscribe, if you will, and tell someone else about what we're doing.
Click the bell icon.
Yes.
Give us a thumbs up.
You can also follow us on Instagram at BenLucy21. This is part 2 of a series that we started where we are giving some key questions to ask another person if you are dating, you're seriously dating, you're engaged, you're maybe newly married. So if you're determining compatibility, but also really, really discerning if someone is a good fit for you and what life together with them might look like, we've compiled a whole host of questions. And last time we covered some big topics like finances and religion and other things, and we're gonna give some more questions today. So,
yeah, buckle your seat belts
here
up.
we go.
We got 29 questions that are going to cover, we're just going to call this general habits and expectations.
Here we go.
All right, what are can't miss events annually for you? That's girls' weekend away, fishing opener, the Super Bowl, some crazy gravel race in northern Minnesota.
Would you know something about that?
Buildable. You get to choose, but make sure you are super explicit about those.
Right. What sorts of things are on your calendar that are just can't miss that you clear everything else for? You got to just talk about those so you set those expectations.
Yep, absolutely. So then next would be on a given weekday, what does your life look like? Just
right.
Video camera, this, then that.
This is what I actually do on a weekday.
Yep.
On a weekend.
What do you do?
What do you actually spend your time doing?
And this could change seasonally, right? So I know some guys that watch college football on Saturday and professional football on Sunday during football season.
Sure.
Same with basketball or the English Premier League. You choose your sport, gentlemen, and let your significant other know how much time you dedicate to it.
Right. You just got to be transparent about that sort of thing. What is your pattern of life day to day? Like, do you have a structured day? Do you live more go with the flow? What does it actually look like? It's just helpful to be transparent about that and just to reflect on it yourself. Oh, wow, I am really type A. I really structure everything to the hour, or I really don't even know what's happening this afternoon. We all function somewhere on that spectrum.
Yep.
It's good to talk about that.
Absolutely. At this moment, what are your priorities in life?
This is a good one.
Yep, rank order them 1 through 10. And make sure you don't put priorities that you think the other person should think you have, or that you think you should have.
Right, or that you think like every good person should rank
my relationship with
like,
the Lord is number 1.
Right, like what actually are the priorities like today? If you could rank them, what do they look like today? And share that with the other person and compare some notes. And again, you understand that with maturity, your rankings change and everything. But right now, what are the priorities?
Absolutely.
When you have a chunk of free time available to you, I love this question, how do you determine how you will spend it? So if you're given a free 2-hour block of time, how do you determine how you will spend it? And what do you actually spend your time doing most of the time?
That's a good one. Number 7 is, what kind of person are you? Are you a morning person?
That's me.
Or a night owl?
Yeah.
And what does that look like on a daily basis?
Right. And what expectations do you have with that? So like if you're a night owl, these are the things I know that I like to have the freedom to be able to do. Or in the morning, this would be me, I just have a certain expectation of the tone of the house. It's very quiet, and I know my pattern. I know what I like to get done and what's important to me.
And when you get up at 4:30, the house is yours.
It's for a long time, actually. Let's see. How do you like your home environment to look?
Are you all about visual order, or is a little bit of clutter? Is that fine because they're really precious things that you've got out?
Right.
Porcelain figurines and doilies,
yeah,
etc.
That's not us, but some people that's important. What's your standard of cleanliness too? Like if clothes are strewn about, are you really okay with that? Do you even notice? And what's more important, how do you react when that standard of cleanliness is not met?
Yep.
That gets at something pretty key in a person, I think.
Absolutely. Or you could find that there are things that you think are more important than cleanliness, like building relationships or writing letters to people or all sorts of things. So we're not judging. We're just pointing out that these are good questions.
They're very good questions to ask, yes.
All right. Next. So how would you describe your lifestyle? Is it structured? Is it simple? Is it spontaneous? Is it... What else did you write? Is it too busy? What do you want to change about it? Is there is there anything about your lifestyle that you would like to change?
Right. Another key word I would put in there is adaptable. Because Ben's highly adaptable. I'm not as much, which means I live a more structured lifestyle. That's just more what I'm naturally comfortable with. I've definitely grown to become more adaptable.
I throw her curveballs whenever I can.
Thanks to Ben. But it's just helpful to kind of identify
Absolutely.
your lifestyle habits, generally speaking.
Yep.
What's your approach to your personal health? Do you maintain your health with a doctor or with a dentist? Do you have regular visits?
Do you work out every day?
Sure. Exercise, right. Sort of what's your attitude towards your body and how you take care of it? When you feel sick, how are you inclined to care for yourself?
Temple of the Holy Spirit right here.
Exactly. When you feel sick, how are you inclined to take care of yourself, if at all? Like, what do you do when you're sick?
Yeah. I take a lot of drugs and curl up in my bed in the fetal position, wait to be served on.
He does not. He doesn't. But someone might. Someone might feel really entitled. All right. Politics.
Yeah, politics.
Where do you fall on the political spectrum? How important is
Blue state, red state.
How important is politics to you? Do you think about it very often? Do you have what level of awareness do you have about the political issues that are out there? And how do you find out information about those issues?
Yep.
To what do you turn to inform yourself?
Right. During the last take, I said the onion. I thought it's still funny.
Yeah, right.
All right, so you do the next one that you love.
Okay, thank you. How is your life different than it was 2 years ago? How have you grown or changed? What do you hope for in the next 2 years in terms of growth or change? This gets at a really key element that can make for a highly successful, happy, healthy marriage, and that is a person's own willingness to grow and change.
Yep.
A high indicator of marital satisfaction is that if both people involved go into it understanding the need to grow and change, and which takes a lot of hard work. So there's something really implied there, and you can get at that if you have encouraged someone to reflect back on a short period of time and ask about changes that they've noticed and what they've undertaken and how they've come out on the other side of that.
And if you happen to be dating a complete dolt, you could follow up with these two questions. I like dolt.
Sure, yeah.
All right, okay. so like, oh, I don't know of any hardships that I've been involved with, right? So then, well, how can you open up the hood, dig into the surface, whatever,
so what would
right?
you ask?
Well, I would ask, what hardships have you encountered? Or, when did life throw you a curveball and what did you do? So everyone knows about a curveball they've been thrown. So maybe if you describe what you're looking for in a slightly different way, you'll get an answer that you can work with.
Another question that I like that actually gets at another important thing is that you learn about who they trust by asking something like, when faced with a tough decision, who do you talk to about it first?
Yep, that's a great one.
Yep. Also, you can talk about discernment, so just decision making in general. How do you approach major decisions? Maybe you think about it all in your head and then you...
Pros and cons list.
Sure, there's lots of different ways to discern. You seek the Lord, you seek
wise counsel.
Another human being, you read about it first, you do research, or you're completely spontaneous and you throw a dart at a wall and pick something. But just getting at how decision making is made is really key for getting to know someone.
No, absolutely. So what are your goals in life? That's a big one. That's
major question.
Yeah. And so coming out of the corporate culture, I would say use SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-bound.
You sound really sarcastic right now.
No, actually, SMART goals are great, but there's more. There's a video waiting to be made there.
And as we grow and mature, I think the understanding is that your goals can change, and it's just good to talk about them. Be transparent about them now, and then, of course, in the future, just revisit them.
Absolutely.
I really like this one.
Go for it then.
When you're seriously dating someone, it's really important that you have a good understanding of their history of dating and that you are very specific about your own history. And you have to cover if there's been closure with the relationships and what that looked like. For me, that was easy. All the ladies before dumped me like second period French. There was definitely closure. It was really clear. It was no, it's you, not me. It's important that if you are discerning entering into a lifelong commitment, a permanent union with someone, that you really have peace of mind that all of their baggage is way left in the past.
Yep.
Okay. Another big question.
All right, I need to find my spot on the page.
Here we go.
Which number are we on?
23.
23. What part of your history haven't we covered, but we really need to get it out into the open?
Yeah, you
So
gotta
this could
spend some time going there, guys.
Yeah, it could be about addiction, or it could be about mental health, or it could be about time in prison.
Bad relationships.
Bad relationships.
And we all have baggage. We all have stuff.
Yeah, we've all missed the mark.
And sometimes, a lot of the time, it's relevant for just learning about someone and getting to know them, and also more importantly, seeing what they've come through.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Which kind of leads to our next one, which is there a history or a current struggle with addiction? And what have you done about it, or what are you currently doing about it? So it's helpful to know that someone has taken active steps to recovery and healing and health, or they are currently on that road. And you can have a successful marriage and a really strong marriage when one of you has dealt with addiction, or both of you. Mm-hmm. You can come out on the other side of that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of support, of course, a lot of grace and a lot of prayer. It's possible, but it's helpful to know what those were.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if
knowledge
for
is power.
sure if someone's currently dealing with someone.
Something, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
this
right.
next one has to do with choice theory and Glasser. And it's sort of like what the love language is. It's sort of a model for getting at how someone might describe themselves. And it's about your basic needs. Mm-hmm. So are you a person who really values survival or power or belonging or fun? So there's different types of ways you can kind of describe yourself using different psychological models or
it's a fascinating
other
topic.
Theories, right? So you can explore that with someone and find out where they're at and how you can serve and love them because of where they're at, which is really important.
Speaking of loving and serving, this next one is super helpful in that regard.
Okay.
And it's, what do you think is romantic? Right? So how am I going to make, hey, I have a romantic dinner planned this evening, actually, for Lucy.
Super excited about that.
Yep, romantic dinner and dancing
Woo-hoo.
in our front room. We're not leaving the house because we're quarantined.
Woohoo.
But, so, one, don't tell her, but I know that she likes sushi, so I'm going out for some sushi, and we're going to play some jazz records.
That's super romantic.
Yep, we're going to play jazz records. Yep, and we're going to do a little swing dancing.
You know.
Actually, we're going to do the foxtrot, because that's really the only dance we know.
We're getting way off topic here, but I love it.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
love it.
so what does it mean to be romantic?
Right.
If after 21 years of marriage, I sure hope that I have an inkling about that. And given her reaction, I think I do.
It's really sweet. That's really sweet. Shifting gears, how do you problem solve? When problems arise, what do you do? And we kind of addressed this in some earlier questions, but you could also you should have some conversations about when problems come up for us, what are we going to do together? I mean, you're creating a we and an us here if you're talking about getting married and if you're engaged, and you can really rely on the other for wisdom and support for your problems together. And so starting to talk about that is a really good idea.
Absolutely. And something that I'm just starting now is I'm trying to become more competent at intentional problem solving. So actually having a framework, a tried and true framework to hang problems on and work through them.
Right.
So.
And involving me in that is really helpful.
Absolutely.
Just a little tip.
Yeah.
Next, what is your long view for your life? So a lot of us can say, oh, I can see, dating, and I can see our wedding day. Like, that's really clear in my mind. And I can imagine maybe having 1 or 2 kids. But we don't often go beyond that in conversation. We might in our mind. So you might ask yourself really concretely, what do I think my retirement is going to look like? You might be surprised that you have a pretty clear picture of what you expect retirement to look like. It's good to ask that of the other and to reveal your own expectations. So for the long haul, is there anything I'm really attached to when I consider that picture? That's a great conversation to have.
It is. And it will reveal a lot about who you are and what you want in life.
It will. And here's even a deeper question that comes at it from kind of another way. And it's, will you do anything it takes to live a healthy, long lifestyle? Anything it takes. Will you pour a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of investment in keeping your body very healthy? Or are you willing to sacrifice that? And maybe you have a different perspective, maybe about serving God and his kingdom, and it's sort of your personal health or other sorts of things aren't nearly as important or rise to the top. Again, maybe that priority list that you started with, maybe there's some things that are switching around there in your mind in terms of how you think about the long view.
Yeah. Practically, that might be like putting off a surgery so that you can continue to serve friends or family, even though you're in a lot of physical pain.
Right.
Yeah, so yep. That's a great one.
All right. We are going to transition into attitudes about marriage, and you're imagining some conversations where you're really talking about building one life together. So how can we be more unified in our approach together, living together now as a couple?
Absolutely.
You probably should ask this first question. This can indicate a lot.
And for those of you keeping score at home, there are 14 of these.
Right, here we go.
All right.
We're going to go through these quickly.
Yep. How attached are you to where you live? Would you ever consider moving, and under what circumstances? That's a good one. Number 2. What
standard of living do you plan to have and do you hope to have? Get really specific about the expectation for your lifestyle. Just saying, like middle class does not cut it.
Right.
You probably have a lot more understanding of what that looks like, and it's just really good to talk about it.
Articulate that. Get that out in the light. All right, number 3. What are some dreams of yours that I ought to know about?
Yeah.
Do you want them to be realized? When and how?
And then the follow-up is, what dreams do we want to have together as a couple? It's really important to dream together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's huge. All right.
What do we want our marriage to look like in general? What's the vision we really have for our marriage? Again, a lot of times I think we think the wedding, that's obvious, a couple kids, that's obvious, a house, that's obvious, but there's a relationship that is meant really for more, for serving the Lord, for mission work, for God, and that can look so many different ways.
Yep.
In thousands and thousands of infinite different ways, and it's important to discern together what God has for you.
Maybe it has.
Beyond the obvious things.
Right, like now we're YouTubers. Whoa, never would have
Where
thought
did
of
that
that.
come
All right,
from?
number 5. How could your marriage reflect the love of God to and for others?
Right. Imagine that your marriage does that.
Yep. Number 6.
What could that
does?
look like?
Oh, sorry.
No, you're
Number 6. We're trying to get through this fast,
You're
right?
good.
We promise that. Number 6.
We value your time.
What does it mean that marriage is a vocation?
It's important that you hear a call to be married and you understand what that is, because inevitably
the hard times come.
They fast and furious sometimes, and it's really helpful to know that God called us to this. He called us to this union.
Number 7.
It can be really comforting. Who or what are your major influences about how you think about marriage, and which ones do we want to carry into our marriage together? So you have to have support. You have to turn to good wisdom and good advice besides just this channel. A deal's a deal. It's really helpful to glean from other people and other organizations and other resources. So which of those do we really want to pull into our marriage and pay attention to as a couple?
Yep. Number 8. Which couples or families do you admire? Have a conversation about that.
Yeah.
Number 9. Who might we see ourselves being friends with as a couple?
Why them?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really helpful for you to have friends as couples, to seek them out. It can take some time to develop those friendships and relationships, but you need that support. You need peer support.
Absolutely. And I found that actually changes over time, which is kind of interesting and fun and neat.
Yeah.
Number 10. What traditions do you have now that you want to keep long term? Why are these important to you?
Ooh, yeah.
For us, it's about like around Christmas or around Easter or...
Which traditions are we going to bring into this marriage?
Yeah.
That are, and how might we create new elements or aspects to them because we've got this new family here that we've created?
Yeah, what a great topic.
Sure. How might we as a couple be of service to the body of Christ when we're married? That sort of gets back to this mission-minded.
Ooh,
it's another way to ask that question.
I was just going to say, I'm excited I get to number 12, is what does intimacy mean to you?
Oh, yeah.
How might we explore intimacy in marriage?
Right, we all know that, or we should know, intimacy is more than just sex.
Really? No.
It
of course it
is. It is, but...
The 5 love languages.
You can,
read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But lots of other things too. It's a huge topic to unpack, and it grows as you grow in your relationship and in your marriage, and it's really important that you keep that an open topic of conversation.
Lots of conversation.
Okay.
Yep. Number 13.
Yes,
you go.
We're almost done. In addition to talking about family size, how many kids do you want, etc., when would you like to start having children? And this can get into some really serious stuff, and it is a reality for some couples. If we aren't able to have children of our own biologically, are we open to adoption?
Good question. And then finally, number 14, timely. If you were quarantined for weeks or months, how would you want to look back on that time together?
Right. What can we imagine we wanted to do or say, or how did we want to be together during that time?
And I would say choose intentionality.
There we go.
Hey, thanks for tuning in for all of these.
Sure. I was just going to add, too, that we are very, very open to taking prayer requests and other questions. And if you don't want to leave them in the comments to this video, please email us, benandlucy'sdeal@gmail.com. We would be happy to read them and respond. And we are in this with you, and we want to support you as well. So thank you for subscribing to this channel, and thank you for telling someone else about it. Hopefully this list was really important and valuable to you as you go forward in your relationship building.
Most of this is her idea, which is awesome.
This list, yeah.
Yeah, this list, yeah.
But this...
No, this is definitely both of us, 100%.
Both of us, yes.
Yeah.